Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Amplify Your Business. You might be wondering what the heck this is. Well, my guest today is Jack over at Duonamic. I got that right, Jack? Duonamic?
Yes, Duonamic, yeah.
Excellent. And this is the product called Eleviia. So let me know, Jack, what are people supposed to be doing with this thing?
So Lance, yeah, that's a portable pull-up bar. You can actually attach it to any door frame and you can exercise anywhere you want.
Okay, so I love this product because I and my son are on the competitive team here in Edmonton for the American Ninja Warrior style training. And so this is fantastic because as American Ninja Warrior trainees, we basically need to have a tremendous amount of upper body strength because a lot of these obstacles are overhead, right? And so this it would really help us with the pull-ups, which we do a ton of in the gym and as part of our training. And so typically what we're using is a pull-up bar here at home that we just put onto the door jamb. This does the exact same thing, but is like crazy light, incredibly portable, which I love because when we do travel, it is a problem because you can't take the big, heavy pull-up bars. And so I experienced this myself last year when I was traveling to a Caribbean little island for a vacation for a couple of weeks, and I wasn't able to take the pull-up bar, and so I couldn't really continue on with my training on the upper body stuff nearly as easily as what I could have if I was able to bring this along. And so this is going to fit into my luggage really easily. Now, tell me a little bit about the journey, though, to get to this. I know you've got an old prototype with you. So the original, I'd love to hear the backstory as to when you started and how you guys designed this first prototype.
Yeah, I can get into that a bit. I can kind of just start how we kind of came up with the initial idea. So about 5 years ago now, I was traveling a lot for work, and like you mentioned, I couldn't bring one of those big pull-up bars with me. It would never fit in my suitcase, obviously. So discovered there was a problem that needs to be solved. And being an engineer and have an engineering background, I like to solve problems, and kind of went to work there and kind of came up with the initial sketch. And from there, I showed my business partner the concept, and we decided to start the entrepreneur journey from there.
Excellent. Okay, so let's take a look at the first edition. So this is the prototype.
Exactly. Yeah. So from the sketch, it's actually pretty crude, but it doesn't really matter, right? You just want to prove a concept in the beginning. It's not really about how it looks, but you just want to make sure that it works. Then you can spend more time on it because you don't want to waste a bunch of time when the concept's not going to work. Well, yeah, I'll get into it a bit. So it's pretty crude. We contacted a water jet company. So that's this main body you're seeing here. So it's actually just water jet out of a aluminum plate. And for the top piece, we actually went to the Home Depot wood scrap bin, and picked out some wood that you didn't want. And also with the fasteners, they had a fastener bin that was for sale, and we kind of just took a couple pieces. And we also used some masking tape or electrical tape to kind of just make things work. And we also found a piece of scrap pipe and put everything together, and proved the concept, and it worked pretty well. Like this worked as well, and showed it to my friends, and they were kind of impressed. And then from there, we just kind of started iterating and improved the aesthetics, and also added a spring system, which helped the Eleviia to grip onto the door frame.
Yeah, exactly. And so I want to talk about the spring system that's in this because, the prototype doesn't have it. So one of the challenges that I would think that you guys had at the beginning was without the spring, it might fall off that door jamb. And so this is the thing that surprised me the most is how stable it is. So when you latch this onto the door jamb, and you even get some pretty good movement swinging on it, it doesn't budge at all, which is just surprising. So it has a pretty powerful spring setup in here. So how many iterations did it take you guys before you decided, a spring is necessary?
Yeah, like we knew right off the bat the safety had to be addressed. So we knew that was a concern. So we actually added this knob system where you can actually tighten it and fully secure it.
Oh, okay.
But we realized that wasn't really user friendly. Like you would have to remember to lock it down every time. What happens if someone forgets? So we immediately kind of just went to work, and then we concluded that we needed a spiral spring to be integrated inside. And the spring is actually a huge development journey on its own, because my business partner Taras had to write a simulation program to kind of simulate the spring travel and what size of the thickness of the metal and the exact force is going to require to open the spring. So that was another journey on its own. It probably took maybe 6 months to kind of get the design right, and finding the right manufacturer to manufacture the spring with the right spring force actually took a year.
Wow.
That in itself took a long time. Yeah, the
Yeah.
overall design from like this version to what you're holding there, Lance, it
Yeah.
took probably 3.5 years.
3.5 years. Wow. That's
Yeah.
pretty incredible in terms of the commitment then of time and resources as you guys are iterating. I'd imagine tracking down manufacturers is difficult. Now, this seems pretty simple in terms of there isn't a lot of parts, but in this manufacturing, like how many parts are we talking about? And did you find a manufacturer that can do it all, or did you have to get parts from different places and then get it assembled? What's the story there?
Yeah, so actually, we had to find individual manufacturers. So, because every company's, they're specialized in different things. So I had to like outsource everything and kind of contact all different manufacturers. So a couple of the manufacturers are located in the US, and majority of them are over in Asia.
And then do you assemble it all in Canada, or is it assembled offshore, or how does that work?
Yeah, we actually used to get all the parts delivered to Calgary and then assemble in my basement actually.
Okay.
But now we kind of scaled up a bit, so everything is actually done in Asia now.
Okay, excellent. So better price point there. And then you
Sure, yeah.
you ship it then around the world from there, I'd imagine, or you bring it into Calgary and ship from here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we actually bring it all here now, and we have a local company that's helping us with fulfillment.
Excellent. So quite the journey then. So before starting this, what were you an entrepreneur, or were you working, a day job as an engineer then?
Yeah, I still got a full-time day job actually, but yeah, I'm a full-time engineer, and I started off in the automotive industry in Ontario. So I worked there for about 4 years, and kind of gave that up and decided to do something totally different and got into sales when I moved out here to Calgary. And then soon realized that wasn't really paying the bills, so I got back into engineering, and I'm still doing that now. And this is kind of a side gig me and my business partner are doing, and that's why it took a bit longer, because we were just working on it during the weekends,
Yep.
and time's limited.
Yeah. And that's the thing about the entrepreneurial journey, is a lot of times people are doing these things on the side of the desk, right? It's a side project, it's a side hustle, and just seeing where things will go. So is this your first experience with entrepreneurship then?
It is actually, yeah. We all, like me and my business partner, always wanted to build something and kind of share our imagination to the world and let people know what we want to do. So this was our first product, and we're pretty happy with it.
Yeah. Well, and what a great first product. I mean, my first business was not a success. My second one wasn't either. And so I've had a lot of different kicks at the can. So you guys have been recognized though with some award nominations and so on as well. And so you guys are really getting the word out there. A lot of people are taking notice, and so far you guys are seeing some great success. And that's all happening again from the side of your desk as you're still focused on some of your full-time work and everything else. So that's really impressive, and just a testament to your guys' desire to really, find a solution to this problem that you had when you were traveling and wanting to exercise a little bit. So that's really cool. And that's one of the things with entrepreneurship. It's really interesting how the journey is different for everybody. It starts with an idea, and then it's really about the perseverance. It's really about execution on the plan. You guys being engineers, I mean, that just obviously sets you guys up for success right at the start when you're going through all that prototyping and everything else. but then you have the whole world of you know, supply chain management and you know, again, the different iterations and prototyping and testing, and now into the marketing and the sales and that. So tell me, what do you think is the biggest challenge, or was the biggest challenge? Maybe it's currently, but just overall from point A to point B where we're at here today, so start to now, what was some of the biggest challenges and lessons that you maybe have learned along the way?
Right. So yeah, definitely initially there were a lot of engineering challenges, right? You're kind of trying to figure out what material works, what the limitations of the vendors are. But yeah, after getting through those, we didn't know marketing and getting the word out there was going to be such a big challenge. Being engineers, we're really just focused on the product, right? So we felt that, okay, we built something good, so people should just come to us. But we soon realized after getting a couple hundred units here, people weren't knocking on our door trying to buy these bullet bars that we built. So what we felt difficult was actually getting the word out. And that's still a current challenge, even though we do have some reach in the Ninja Warrior community, in the OCR community, but getting it to the wider audience, it's still challenging for us. I don't know what you think about that, Lance.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, what you guys have done to date is really good. Like the approach that you guys have taken in terms of the influencer marketing approach has been really, really solid. So like you said, you've got it in the hands of people who are in the OCR. So that's for people who don't know OCR. Do you want to explain that a little bit?
Yeah, it's a obstacle course race. So that'd be like Spartan Racing, Tough Mudder, and Mud Hero. So that was pretty big. And yeah, these influencers kind of just wanted something different. So we would supply them with units, and they help us post on their social media and share with their followers, and we kind of gain some traction there that way.
Yeah. And so the influencers that you guys are using are mostly, you know, smaller influencers. They're not the ones, not the Kim Kardashians that have got millions of followers. These are people who have tens of thousands, maybe into the hundreds of thousands of people who they're engaging with in some form or another in social. And so that is a good strategy, because those micro influencers oftentimes have got more clout than what some of the big ones are. So when a Kim Kardashian mentions a product or uses a product and highlights that within one of her videos or one of her social posts, she doesn't get the same level of engagement out of the followers as what somebody who's a micro influencer does. Because with the micro influencers, the people who are following them are not following them because of the fame or anything. They're following them because they're legitimately interested in what that person is doing or saying, or what they're teaching, or what their philosophy is, or whatever. And so those people who are following those influencers actually have better click-through rates, oftentimes in the promoted posts of the campaigns, the products, and so on. So the strategy that you guys stumbled upon is actually a pretty good one in terms of the influencer side of things. And on top of that, you don't have to pay the big dollars to get those people to post. Oftentimes it's just supplying them with some product, right? So you just have the cost of goods and the shipping to get it over to them oftentimes. And I imagine that's the strategy that you guys have been employing, right? You're not paying big dollars for these people to post, right?
No, we can't really afford it. So we're really trying to find the most efficient way to get the word out there. And I 100% would agree with what you just said. It's those people have a close knit community, and then people really trust what they say. So these smaller influencers, maybe they have 10,000, 5,000, but I see a lot of click through and sales from that. So
Yeah.
I don't think it's about reaching the biggest name and paying the big bucks to kind of spread the word. Sometimes people, like you said, just follow because that's the thing to do, and not really paying attention to their content.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And so it's about being smart with that spend, or that the time and the effort that you're putting into it. Now, one of the things that's really important, and so I'm going to quiz you on this a little bit just to see if you guys are doing some of these things, but you get the social influencers basically to start driving traffic to your product pages, right? So to your website. And so that's the awareness stage of when you think of a typical sales funnel or buyer's journey funnel. You have awareness at the top, and then there's consideration, analysis, and then the purchase that happens down at the bottom. And so the awareness stage is where you're really trying to get the product in front of people so that they take notice of it. And it's like, oh, that's interesting. So think of, a typical billboard or some sort of display ad that you might see on a website or a newspaper ad. Those are all about awareness usually, or a TV commercial. And then later on in the sales funnel, you're trying to get them to convert by handling any potential objections that they might have, giving them more information so that they can do that analysis as to, comparing this against a typical pull-up bar. What are the advantages? What are the features of this that are going to really outperform or give somebody or give this product a leg up on those pull-up bars. And so it's explaining those compelling reasons why this is a better product than the alternatives that are out there, right? Now, what you're doing then is you've got the awareness, you've got traffic coming in from the influencers. How are you managing that traffic that's coming in? How are you converting those people? Are you doing anything to really maximize the conversions from that awareness traffic?
Not at the moment. We don't really have good grasp on what's coming through our website, but our kind of initial strategy would just hit them in multiple spots. So we would contact multiple Ninja Warriors, so people would get a lot of eyes or multiple views on it. So that kind of been helping us with the conversions.
Yeah. So if you've got lots of influencers using it, demonstrating it, talking about it, endorsing it, then you're going to have a much greater chance of the home warrior, the home workout person who might be interested then in checking out the website. So those are all kind of the awareness level. So you get the traffic over to the website, you get them actually interested in clicking through. So now they're looking at the website, and they're making that decision as to whether or not they buy. And so what you want to do is collect their email information or phone number, some means of them losing their anonymity essentially, so that you can reach out to them in a cheaper way than placing another ad in front of them. So as much as the ads on Facebook and Google and so on can be really effective, if you can get a means, if you can acquire their contact information so that you have a means of reaching out to them without putting another ad in front of them, it's way, way cheaper. You're going to have your marketing budget go a lot farther. So list building is a really big deal. And so for the list building part of it, one of the things that's really common when it comes to e-commerce, and so you're going to be selling it online. So one of the things that's really common is to have some sort of a sign up for a mailing list. But in order to encourage them to do that, you have to usually offer them something. And so that could be a discount, or it could be I know you guys, and I don't know if we're going to talk about it or not, because I don't know if it's supposed to be public knowledge or not. So I'll just touch on that. You have a new element to this.
Yes.
So it could be something where it's like, for a limited time, sign up for the newsletter and get a free, what the add-on is going to be when you order your first order or whatever, right? Or it could be a volume thing, or it could be a free shipping coupon code that they get if they sign up. So there's a bunch of different things that you can basically give them some sort of incentive to give you their email information and sign up to the newsletter. Obviously, if they purchase something, you're going to get their contact information because you need that in order to execute on the purchase. And so sometimes what some people will do is have a lower price item that they'll use to basically almost like a loss leader to get people to purchase that. And then this is the more expensive item that then you do the follow-up campaign for. But whatever it is, whatever strategy you employ, you want to have some means of getting their contact information so then you can market to them and to sell them this. If they're just doing the purchase, you don't really have to worry about remarketing to them because you've already got the sale, right? So that's important so that you're collecting more of that information from those people so that you can then run an email drip sequence afterwards. And that drip sequence would be full of the types of information that would get them over the edge from the, oh, that's a cool product, to I need to have that product, and so I'm going to purchase it. And so the way that that drip sequence goes is you usually have 3 to 5 emails in a product campaign drip sequence as a minimum. And then you can have much more, but you would basically send out an email. So for instance, if you were giving them a discount code, say $20 off their first purchase. So sign up here, get $20 off the first purchase. They don't have to execute on that purchase right then and there. They just get that coupon code that they can use at a later date. So say that's the incentive. Now you got them in their email list. Now what you want to do is the first email that you send out to them is welcoming them to that email and that list, and then giving them some compelling reason, again, why this is a great product. So that could be a great testimonial from one of your influencers. So their video talking about how great this product is and what they loved about it and how well it works for them. So that's going to be the first thing. And so now you're getting a social credibility. You're having somebody endorse it, which is a third party, which really carries a lot of weight. And if there's somebody who the audience is respecting, then they're going to carry even that much more weight. So that's the first one. But say they don't click through and purchase after that, then the next thing you want to have is something that talks about maybe the engineering and the safety of that spring. And so that could be as much as you and your partner could be sitting down, camera turned to you, and you guys are talking about the 6 months that it took to design that spring and all of the effort that went into that, because that's a really compelling story around the quality and the attention to detail that you guys have placed in it, right?
Yeah,
and so that's really cool.
Point, yeah. Because that's what feedback we usually get is when people receive the product, like, whoa, I just don't expect it to be so sturdy and kind of the quality, right? They just think it's plastic, so
This thing is indestructible.
Feel like this,
Like I don't like it's a solid thing, not heavy, which is just, it's incredible. Yeah,
we actually built our own testing equipment to kind of test that spring, kind of just elaborate on the engineering bit. So we actually cycled the spring 100,000 times because we knew it's a critical safety feature. So the machine just pulls the Eleviias apart and then kind of let it cycle back, and that's
so and so there, in terms of like the video for this, I mean, I just see it completely crystal clear where it's you and your partner talking about all the time and effort that went into it and the different designs and the engineering behind it. And then while you're doing that, you have this B-roll of the machine doing the flexing, right? Yeah, pulling it apart and so on. And it's just this, it's like super durable. And then again, you have somebody talk. So, like if I was the influencer, then you would cut to me and I would be saying like, I couldn't believe how tight this thing fits onto my door jamb. I was really concerned when I first put it up there that it might slip out. There's no way this thing is slipping out, right? And boom, you've got now another little testimonial that reinforces one of the fears that somebody might have in purchasing this. So you want to take away all of those potential objections. And then another thing might be price, which is often one that people have to deal with. And so it's like, okay, well, how does this compare against a pull-up bar? And then you go, okay, but this, even if it's more expensive, is going to allow you to be much more flexible in where you take it, the travel, and so on. And so again, it's about the value. So you basically count the whole price question or the price concern by talking about how valuable this is, because when you're on the road, when you're in a hotel room or whatever, and your pull-up bar sitting back at home, it doesn't matter what the price of that is, you're not getting any use out of it, right?
You're not using it.
So those would be that would be the next email that goes out, and then the next email, right? And so you'd have a few of these emails that would go out that would really showcase just the compelling reasons why this thing is so amazing. And again, hitting with lots of the kind of testimonials, because you're using influencer marketing already, you've got all these great testimonials that you can incorporate in there and demonstrations of people actually using the product, which is just gold. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It's just not something that we're not really good at, so we kind of just been shying away from it. So the influencer kind of strategy has been working for us, so we kind of just been doubling down on that. But
Yeah.
I can see that we're probably not converting as much as we want to for the
Yeah.
people that actually visit the site and
It,
just really unsure about it. But you just need to just give them a little bit of nudge in the right direction to make that final
yeah.
sale.
100%. And so this is the thing that where I see most entrepreneurs who don't have a marketing background struggle a little bit is they don't basically set up the funnel to be optimized for conversions. And so you guys are doing a great job in getting the awareness and getting traffic driven over, but you're only capturing a small percentage of that traffic that's converting into sales. And so the best thing that you can do, because you already got the funnel coming, the traffic coming over, is now really focus on converting more of that. So if you doubled your conversions, let's say you're getting 1% conversion out of your traffic today. If you were to get 2%, well, that's doubling your sales without a tremendous amount of extra effort. And you don't have to go out there and chase after more influencers. You're just continuing to do what you're doing. And then as you get your conversion set up and optimized, then what you do is you put more people at the top of that funnel. And so that's where then you really start to expand upon your awareness strategy. And so it might be getting more influencers and really growing that base of influencers to continue to push more of that traffic over. So that's what I would encourage you to do at this point is if you're getting decent traffic coming in right now, then really focus on just trying to convert more of that traffic. So the email marketing is the easiest one to do and to set up and the least expensive. And you can use a free software or next to free software like MailChimp to sprinkle those emails out in the sequence. The next best thing that you could do is going to be remarketing ads. And so when somebody comes over to your website from, say, an influencer, posts something on Instagram, and they click through or they search you guys, they end up over on your website, what you can do is you can pixel their browser, which is putting a cookie on their browser, and then you can follow them around with more ads that, again, are very intentional in terms of nudging them down that buyer's journey. So they're handling the objection. So just like what we were talking about with the emails, you don't have their contact information, so you can't send them an email. So the next best thing to do is to put an ad in front of them that handles that objection. So the first ad they'll see after visiting your website, if they didn't convert, is going to be something that addresses the pricing maybe, or addresses the spring, or addresses the safety aspect of it, and it has those testimonials kind of built into it. So and then after a little while longer, you'll position another ad in front of them, just the same thing as what you were doing with the email sequence, where you're dripping them out once every couple of days. You're going to do the exact same thing with just ads. Now that's going to cost you a little bit of money, but it's going to really pay off because these people are already warm to your brand. They've already been on your website, looked at the information there, and for whatever reason, they didn't convert at that point, but they are much warmer leads than, say, trying to get new leads coming over. And so what you want to do then is hit them with those remarketing ads, because you get a much higher conversion rate off of those ads than you do off of awareness ads, because they're farther down that sales funnel.
Exposed already to our brand.
Yeah.
Lance, I do have a question though. Like we hear things like email marketing is not as effective anymore these days. People get so many.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts as what's about that?
Completely.
Still a valid, sounds like it's still fully a valid thing that we should be.
Yeah. So what you said and what you're hearing is completely true. So email marketing is less effective today than what it once was, because people are getting inundated, and so they're not checking all those emails, right? And so, but the numbers show that you're still getting open rates on average of around 30 to 40% open rates on emails. And so 30 to 40% of the people that are on your list opening your emails and getting that information, that's compelling for me as a marketer, because I'd have to pay to reach those 30 to 40% with ads or some other means. And so that's good. Another one that is potentially more effective is going to be text-based marketing. And so if you can get a phone number, you can text them information about the product and links to videos and so on.
I see.
The open rate for text is way higher,
Even
but
higher, yeah.
it's a little trickier though, because it's a little bit more of a personal interaction, right? So you don't want to be quite as salesy with those text messages sometimes. Otherwise, people will unsubscribe fairly quickly
Yeah.
because, it's kind of like, I don't mind seeing ads in other places, but when I get a text, I definitely note it. I take a look at it. And if it's an ad, sometimes I'm kind of like, oh, what the heck? Why are they texting me, right? So
Almost kind of
that,
intrusive, kind of.
sorry, what was that?
It's almost kind of intrusive into their
Yep,
personal space. Their
exactly.
phone. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like the next level. Okay.
Yeah. The other area is it's like messenger type ads. So Facebook Messenger as an example, or WhatsApp and so on. Though the messenger platform has the ability to, have information sent to people who have signed up to those lists. And so you can send marketing materials that way. There's some very strict rules that Facebook has on it, though, in terms of when you can send a message to them, how often you can send it, and so on. So there's a lot of restrictions. It's a little bit more complicated. But again, if you get a direct message on one of your social platforms or messenger platforms, you tend to take a look at it. So the open rates are way higher there as well. So those work really good. Another avenue is push notifications. And so if you've been to a website, you'll see sometimes where they're trying to get you to sign up for their push notifications. There'll be a little pop-up that'll pop up over usually on the upper left corner of the browser, and it'll say, sign up for notifications, or get the latest deals by signing up here, whatever. And so you'll click on that. And what that does is it enables then the marketer to basically do a message within the website. It'll just usually pop up on the bottom right corner usually. And that little message can be shown regardless of where the person is at online. So they don't have to be back on your website. They can be anywhere. They can be checking news. They can be on a competitor's website. They could be looking at pull-up bars over at walmart.ca or something like that, right? And you can have a little message then pop up with a promotion or a link to a video or some sort of marketing message for your product. And you just push that out when in a sequence as well. So you can do the same things what you're doing with email marketing or with the ads. It's just another area or another basically property that you can pop that up. And that's free besides the software license that you need to basically push those out. But that's another great avenue. And it's because it's on the browser and it pops up, it allows you to, put in hyperlinks so people can just click to it and go right to your purchase page or right to watching it. And so it's pretty effective as well. But email's
I
not
just
dead.
didn't know there. Yeah, I didn't know there were so many different ways to kind of hit people. Always, yeah, like you said, I've always just thought it was emails, and then it doesn't work. Just keep trying, or kind of thing. But
Yeah,
it's good to know that there are different ways to reach people and to kind of use the technology to the fullest.
Yeah, completely. And so there's a few different tactics. Usually the ones that are the easiest to use and the ones that kind of have the lowest barrier to entry in terms of cost and stuff is going to be your email marketing. And it's going to be remarketing with ads. That's going to have a good bang for the buck. And just trying to get those people to come back and convert. And so that's where I would have you start. And then you want to layer in then some of those other tactics as you have those ones set up and going. And then you can get a little bit more complicated, add in some more things, fine tune things. But initially I would have you start at the email first, do some remarketing, and obviously abandon cart as well. So on your website, when people are going and they're selecting this to purchase, and then they leave after before executing the purchase, you can do an abandoned cart campaign as well. Those are really effective. Those are email based usually. I mean, you could do a remarketing ad as well, but those ones have got a really great return as well because they got interrupted sometimes, or they maybe are like, oh geez, I don't know, and they just
Yep.
make the decision. those ones work really good in getting it back. So again, great return on your investment.
Yeah, I do see quite a bit of those actually, because the WooCommerce actually shows which one's been abandoned, but we never kind of explore the idea of retargeting them, saying like sending initial or additional initiative, like additional 10% off or something to kind of,
Yeah.
you
Well,
said,
and
push them over that line.
yeah, and sometimes, I mean, that is a strategy that can be employed, is give them a little discount and saying, hey, come on back and we'll give you a little gift or a discount or something like that.
Yeah.
So that's fairly common, but you don't always have to do that. Like I was, on a site just yesterday getting some tickets to an event, and I got interrupted right at the checkout. And so I didn't have a chance to complete it. And then I got busy and I kind of forgot about it. And then I got an email later on in the day that popped into my inbox saying, hey, you still have this over in the cart. Did you want to check out? And it was like, yes, no, I did. Definitely needed to get that. And so then I click on the link and I'm back there and it's already in my cart again. And it just made it super simple for me to do it, where I didn't have to go through the purchase again, right? So that happens. So you don't necessarily have to give away a discount, but sometimes that'll help and get them pushed over. Or what I like to do instead of discounting is I encourage my clients to give a little bonus if they're trying to sweeten the deal a bit, because then you don't have that price erosion where people are expecting the price to be less and that. So we're not talking about price. This thing is worth its value. We're just going to give you a little bonus, a little extra, something or another.
Okay.
Yeah. Any other questions with regard to marketing or with the influencer stuff that you guys have been doing, or any of the conversion stuff that maybe even we've talked about? I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Yeah, I do have one additional question. I've noticed some of the sites, they have these pop-up windows that come up, and kind of there's a representative on the other side and kind of help you with questions about the product or the website or how to complete your sale. Do you find that as an effective way to keep people on your site? Is it worth exploring? Because I guess our product is so new. I'm guessing people have a lot of questions, and I might not be addressing all of them on my FAQ or my product page. So what are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, I definitely like having the ability for people to enter in questions and talk to a representative, or sometimes you can use chatbots for that, right? Where you program the bot to answer basically all of the commonly asked questions. So the FAQ, essentially, you can program it so when people enter in a question, it can figure out what the answer is and it provides the answer. And then if the person still doesn't get it resolved, like they still have additional questions that the bot can't figure out, then that's when it pushes it through to a customer service rep or a salesperson or whatever, and then the live person can jump on at that point. So I do kind of like that combo effect, because then you're not inundated with having to deal with the questions like, hey, do you offer free shipping, or do you is this available in the United States, or whatever, right? So there's going to be some really common questions that come about that you could just answer with a bot, essentially, so save you that time. But yeah, like even though you guys are a startup company, it's one of the things that is common that everybody wants is immediate answers, right? And so if you can deliver that to them, you got a better chance of converting them, because if they're at that point where they're kind of considering the purchase, but they have a couple questions, or they just, they wanted to talk to somebody about some aspect of it. So, does this actually really, hook onto the door jamb and not fall off, or can I swing on it and it's going to be okay? Different things like that, right? So if they're kind of on the fence, having that little personal contact with them where it's assuring them can really help out and really convert a few more than what you normally would. And those bots can be, or the chat pop-ups can be set up so that it goes right to an app on your phone. So you're out and about having dinner or whatever, or you're out on a jog. You'll get an alert on your phone, and you can just be handling that inquiry right there. It's not like you have to be tied to your desktop or anything.
Right.
Yeah. So highly recommend it for all businesses, regardless of whether it's a product-based business or a service-based business. People want answers and they want them now, and that'll help them make that conversion as opposed to them hopping over to, you know, Amazon or something like that and making the purchase over there.
Okay. And yeah, just something else came into mind. So like, I'll just keep asking away. But
Yeah.
since we're such a small startup and cost is always kind of on our minds, like you see Google Ads where like the ad spend is where we should be putting our money, or
Yeah.
is there another avenue that's more efficient?
Good. Yeah, good question there. So with Google Ads, they have two different kinds of platforms, really. There's the search, and then there's the display, and then a third being the YouTube video ads. And so what I would recommend for most businesses is to have some sort of search-based campaign. So the people who come in through a search campaign are people who are entering into the search window for information, right? They're trying to find something. And so if they're interested in pull-up bars, you could throw an ad in there where your innovative new alternative, which is lightweight, super safe, and travel friendly, that ad can show above the search results, and you'll be able to scoop some of those people who were going to be potentially purchasing a pull-up bar, right? And so that is really powerful because the people who are searching for, you know, buy pull-up bar near me or something like that, what you're getting is people who have a purchase intent. And so these are not the people who are driving down the highway and seeing a billboard and you're trying to get them to develop a purchase intent, develop interest in it. These are people who are already hunting for a solution to what their problem is, which is they want to be working out at home, right? And so those people, if you have your ad in front of those, you got a pretty good conversion rate if they click through on that ad. So the search-based ads, really important. So I would definitely encourage you guys to have a little bit of budget going towards that. And so the key there is really identifying what the search terms are that you want to bid on. And there's a wide variety of different types of search terms that you could potentially be bidding on that are going to be really expensive, and then other ones that are going to be a little bit cheaper or more affordable because there's less competition there. For a small business, I encourage you to go after the ones that are lower competition, still have decent volume of searches, and maybe a little bit more like longer tail keywords. And what that means is instead of it saying pull-up bar, so that's just a single keyword, it would be affordable pull-up bar in Calgary, as an example. So that search, if you're bidding on that search term, there's a lot fewer searches going to that, but the ones who do go there are going to be much more higher purchase intent usually. And on top of that, the competition, so say Sports Shack, they're not trying to buy those keywords. They're buying because they can afford it, just the pull-up bar one, right?
I see. Okay.
So
we're like focusing a bit more than just the general.
Yeah. And the more words you put into that search, the finer the search results are going to be, or the results you're going to get out of it in terms of people hitting that same search term. So the volume's a lot less, but there's a lot less competition. And so if you get a bunch of those, then overall, you're still going to get a decent amount of volume coming in, but at a much more affordable price. So there's those, and then there's the display ads. Now the display ads are more like a billboard, right? So this would be somebody, you position it on, say, tsn.ca as in terms of a website that it has sports enthusiasts, people who are maybe into fitness and active lifestyles. So that's what the criteria you would put in. And so then that ad would show up on websites that have that kind of meet that interest, right? And so over on tsn.ca, your ad might show up, but this is not for people who are hunting for it. These are people who are, looking at sports scores or whatever. And so what you're trying to do is capture their attention like a billboard would be in a traditional sense, and then get them to click on that ad, pop over to your landing page and purchase the product. So those have a lot lower purchase or conversion rate, a lot lower click-through rate potentially, depending on how good the ad is and how targeted you're getting. But that will help with the awareness piece. So because you're using the social media influencer part, I would still stay with social media influencers if that's working for you and you're getting the traffic coming in. And I would use the displays for remarketing. So once somebody comes to your website from the referral of that social media influencer, then if they leave, then that's when I would show them the ad over on tsn.ca or wherever else they're going to be. I would show them the ad there as a display ad, or on YouTube as a video ad. And that's actually a place where I would probably spend some time playing around with in terms of awareness ads on YouTube. So the little video ads that would play before an actual video, because YouTube is being used so much right now for fitness videos, for people doing home training and so on. So you could put your ad in front of all of those fitness videos, basically, that shows this being used by an actual athlete, by an influencer. So you turn that into an ad, you throw that in front of those videos, and you're going to have a really high likelihood that people are going to watch it, because it is directly related to what they're wanting to watch in terms of that video. So it's going to be really effective in that case.
So like people searching for pull-up exercises.
Yeah, exactly. Somebody searching for pull-up exercises or ninja strength training or something like that, right? Or well, if you have a really big name fitness person who's got a huge following, a huge channel over on YouTube, you can actually specifically target ads to be placed in front of big channels. And so you could, in a way, have your ad right in front of who might be some huge influencer that you could never get to, use your product as a testimonial because they want, $10,000 to talk about it or something. Well, you could get your ad in front of their videos, essentially. Yeah. So really quite effective. Facebook and Instagram, with the influencer marketing that you're doing, I imagine most of that's going to be happening over on Instagram. And so it would be a good idea to do some remarketing back to Instagram, because the people who are watching those influencers are there. And then if they start to see some ads in stories or reels, as an example, then you're going to have a better chance of, again, capturing their attention because they're already over on those platforms. So I wouldn't discount it either. But initially, I wouldn't worry about the awareness type ads. Initially, I would be really focusing on remarketing, focusing on the drip emails and cart abandonment. Once I got that done, then I would start to turn on more awareness ads, more awareness activities. And so that's going to be amplifying your influencer group, so getting more of them, as well as I would probably try YouTube ads first, just because I think it would be a really effective way, because people are there wanting to learn and use products like this. And then I would probably start over at Instagram. It's probably the sequence that I would test out if I couldn't do it all at once.
Okay. Yeah, great advice.
Yeah. Okay, so we're coming up to the hour. So any other questions or anything that you want to discuss real quick?
No, I think that's it. It's great information, Lance. Really appreciate spending the time to
awesome.
Chat about how we approach this marketing in this crazy world of every potential channel could be an asset, but which one to go down is probably the question here. Thanks for all the information.
Yeah, no worries at all. I'm happy to help out. I want to point out one thing to the viewers, and they need to go over to you guys' website. So it's duonamic.com is the website. One thing that I love about what you guys are doing there is you have your hero image above the fold that shows a video, right, of somebody actually unpacking it out of their suitcase and then doing the exercises. It's fantastic. I really like that because it shows and demonstrates the product really simply, really quickly. The other thing that I really like is just below the fold, you have a scrolling cycle of testimonials from Instagram influencers. And that is really, really powerful as well. And so love what you're doing there. So people, if you are wondering how to implement, the testimonials on your website, this is a really great way to do it, because you've got such a great tie-in with all those influencers that you have been working with. And so it's about repurposing their content and really getting a good bang for out of your efforts with the social influencers as well. So good job on that front. I just wanted to emphasize that. Now, where else can people find more information about you and your products?
Yeah, so you've mentioned www.duonamic.com, and our Instagram handle is duonamicfit, so DUONAMICFIT. And also, you can find our product at Fitters First, so their local Calgary store. And yeah, that's about it.
And for those of you who want to try out the product, Fit Set Ninja up here in Edmonton, if you're in the Edmonton area, they've got a set of these hanging off of a door stop, or a door jam. And so if you guys want to try it out, pop over there and visit Tim. I'm sure he'll let you take a swing on her. So thank you very much. I really appreciate you taking the time today to join us. And for those of you who are watching, if you found this interesting, you want to learn more about marketing or hear some other stories from other entrepreneurs, check out our archive. It's over at amplimedia.com/amplify. Thanks again, everybody. Stay safe and take care.